Hey guys, welcome back to the biggest agricultural platform in Namibia known as Nduna We Ngombe, which means headman of cattle. My name, of course, Mitchell Mutumba Simata, aka the headman of cattle. So today, on the 19th of September 2022, which is a Monday, hope everybody's having a good Monday and not a blue Monday. I would love to talk about something quite interesting. My cable's twisted. Something quite interesting. I spoke a while back about Emybro flushing. Somebody came through and said, do a video on Emybro transferring. So I said, let me do it. It seems interesting. As you guys know, I'm never writing solo. I got my trusted notebook with me here with my not so flattering handwriting. So let's get into it, eh? Embryo transplanting. The process begins when a cow or a goat or a sheep receives hormonal treatment for it to provide more than one ovulation, which means more than one egg at a time. The cows are then artificially inseminated with a bull of your choice, or a goat, or a ram, or a buck, whatever it is, of your choice, with the desired characteristics you like. So you choose. 7 days later, a vet would have to come to the farm to come and collect these embryos from the cow. He'd do this by using a catheter and recovery fluid. So he'd use that by using a catheter and recovery fluid to get the eggs from the cow. The fluid is passed through a specialized filter which catches the embryos. The process would usually produce about 6 good embryos per cow or goat or sheep or pig. Then the captured embryos, which are fertilized, are then transferred into a surrogate, which would be called the recipient cow, goat, or sheep, whatever it is you're using. But yeah, let's just say a cow. Let's keep it that way. And then this cow would carry this embryo to full term, which means pregnancy and giving birth. Or another method is the fertilized egg can be captured and frozen and probably used in a later stage or so. But searching for these embryos, because they're so tiny, requires you to use a microscope and a sharp eye and a keen scientific acumen. After receiving the embryos from both cows, the eggs are transferred to a lab, and then to a lab that filters them into a glass where they can be, of course, monitored in a microscope. This dish that is used would have grips to allow the vet at the time to be correcting whatever mistakes are there or improve the patterns or if anything is missing. So most of the time when this happens through the microscope, they can track about a total of 8 good embryos which can be taken. Embryo transferring is mostly used in the beef industry, beef cattle producers, milk producers, the dairy industry. It's most of the time when you're trying to introduce some desired traits that you might not have in your own herds. For example, if you're a dairy farmer, you're probably trying to increase more milk on less feed, and maybe somebody was able to breed cattle that are like that. And if you're a beef producer, you're trying to produce more meat on less grazing, and probably there is a beef breeder that was able to achieve this. So this is why it's important. But then the problem is with natural births is that a cow only produces one egg, which means one calf a year. With embryo with the desirable genetics you're looking for. But with embryo transplanting, this gives an opportunity for you to give a cow, or for the vet to give a cow this hormonal treatment, and it can produce more than one egg, which means you can get 8 embryos, which you can transfer into other cows, which means more of this genetics that you want from this cow or this bulls. So this is one thing that can be done. The technique can also be called as bovine embryo transplanting. It's a growing practice amongst producers, but it requires people of scientific backgrounds. Probably you'd have to call in a vet to come and do this, to come and do this, because it's a bit technical. I don't think any farmer would be able to do embryo flushing and then embryo transferring. You'd have to get a vet to come and do it, or somebody who is well versed in animal science and knows how to do this. Back in the day, it required operations to happen, incisions and so forth, but now not anymore. There are fluids or hormonal treatments that can be used where the egg can be collected from the cow and less bloody, which means much more cleaner. And it says it takes little as 20 minutes to be able to get an egg from the cow, and then from there on artificially inseminate it and store it or probably transfer it into another animal. So that's embryo transplanting. I will, in the link of the description of this video, I'll add the one where I talk about embryo flushing. Maybe not one of my hottest videos, but I spoke about embryo flushing and so forth. So this is when the embryo has been taken from the animal, which is embryo flushing, artificially inseminated, from there on moved to a surrogate, or you can call it a recipient. So that's embryo transplanting. I think, if I can recall, when the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, was trying to bring in his Ankole cattle from, I think, was it Uganda, where he bought them. The problem they had was the different in veterinary laws and so forth. So I think they introduced some of the Ankole cattle through embryo flushing, artificial insemination, and embryo transplanting. And I've also seen this practice being done in buffalo breeding, where some buffalo breeders are trying to breed buffaloes that are foot and mouth disease free, which means now they are flushing embryos from buffalo cows, artificially inseminating it with buffalo bull semen, and then implanting it, transferring it into a domesticated cow. So this is the new form of agriculture that is being introduced slowly. This can help us preserve even good quality genetics of animals that could go into extinction in the future, like, for example, cattle breeds, the nguni, which is being largely extensively used for crossbreeding purposes. This is how we can preserve its genetics and ensure that nguni cattle, the nguni breed, still exists in the next hundreds of years by harvesting its embryos, embryo flushing, artificially inseminating them with nguni genetics, very good nguni genetics, and probably transferring them or storing them by freezing them, and in future transferring them even in a Brahman cow, where it's a full-blooded Brahman cow, but she gives birth to a nguni calf. So that is my 2 cents on embryo flushing. Embryo transplanting, not flushing. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, bye for now.